Now, before we wrap up, I mean, I want to go one more question out there. I know me and Chris were jawing at each other in the pre-production meeting. We've been having this discussion in the past few weeks out of all of the WFUV guys off the air, but I wanted to bring it up and I wanted to see, Chris, Jimmy, what your thoughts were. If you could pick one player to have right now, both of these guys are in talks for potential MVP. Both probably won't win it, but they're in the conversation. Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid, who would you rather have? Chris, I'll start with you.
Joel Embiid. I gave it a second so I could think and not regret anything. It's Joel. Can I ask? No. The question was right now. The question is, who would you rather have right now?
I would say right
Joel,
now going forward as well. So you get him
definitely,
right now.
Definitely Joel if it's going forward as well. And I think if it's right now, which would present Dame with the advantage just given age, experience, and all that. Like I think I'm still taking Embiid. And here's why. I'll make it as simple. You know, I won't promise quick, but I'll make it as simple as I can try to organize it in my head, which is come playoff time, Damian Lillard like always finds ways to extravagantly save his team from tough spots, and it's really impressive. And he's a one-man wrecking ball. And he's the leader of a team with the fourth worst defense in NBA history. He's not won playoff series, and he's not, he's won playoff series. He's not won significant ones, the third round or further. Not won one of those. He's never been to the fourth round. I mean, I feel like Dame always plays well enough to have himself in that top point guard conversation. You pull out the magnifying glass, and I think the gap between him and Curry is a lot bigger than people imagine. Just because they're the number one and number two best point guards in the A does not mean that they're close. With Embiid, for me, I think it starts with the offensive dominance. Shaquille O'Neal just told people that he has Embiid as a top 5 player in the league, and I can only assume that the reason is the offensive dominance down low has to remind him just a smidge of what it felt like to be the king of the paint. Although that title might soon belong to Zion, I think it's got to be Embiid right now, just getting the ball down low, able to put the ball in the basket with ease, over guys, through guys, fadeaways in the post. He's got it all. And then he can also create offense off the dribble. He does step backs. That's not normal for a 7 foot. I as a Knicks fan, I know quite well that 7 foot players are not supposed to be able to shoot well, and that when you have one, you're supposed to covet it. Embiid is incredible at just shot making from anywhere on the court, from the center position specifically. That's incredibly valuable. Couple that with the all defense level, defense, and you have the makings of a perennial MVP candidate. I think Damian Lillard needs the right team, the right situation, and the right co-star, which CJ McCollum does not seem to be in a spot where he can have his team in a situation to make a deep playoff run. And for Joel, for me right now, it's like if this guy can stay healthy, good luck to the East, because I'm getting Hakeem vibes of a center just running a conference. I don't think the big man's going to be dead too soon, guys.
Yeah, I think there's interesting points there. I'm going to go Damian Lillard, though. And there's one sentence I picked out of everything you said, Chris. If he stays healthy. Let me bring you back all the way to Embiid's entire career through his health issues. He missing 18 games this season. Last season, 22 games. How about in 2018-2019 season? He missed 18 games there. The year before, 2017-2018 season, missed 19 games. How about 2016-2017? Only played 31 games that year. And then his first 2 years in the league, didn't even play. He was out with a foot injury. So when you look at it like that, his inability to stay healthy has got to worry you. And I think for those reasons, Damian Lillard is the guy you would rather have. I don't think those injuries suddenly vanish when he gets older. If anything, it becomes more of a problem. And you know what they say, the best ability is availability. So for those reasons, it's hard not to pick Damian Lillard. And you talk about playoff success for Lillard. Yes, he's had some moments where he has not lived up to what he should have been. Swept by the Pelicans in the playoffs before first round. That was a bad. Western Conference Finals, swept by the Warriors when they didn't have KD. But to get there against the Warriors, he knocked off Russ and PG, beat them 4-1. He beat the Denver Nuggets, a good Denver Nuggets team, beat them in Game 7. And then you talk about early in his career, he beat the Clippers 4-2 as a 5 seed in the first round. He beat Harden's Rockets in 2014 4-2 off a game-winning shot. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to love Lillard. And you were comparing him to Curry. We're not comparing Lillard and Curry. I mean, we're comparing Embiid and Lillard. And I think if you match the health, Lillard has always been available. He's missed games here and there, but he's never played a season under 72 games, except for the COVID year when they didn't have 82 games. But he's never missed more than 8 games. He's always going to be there for you. And it's hard for me not to take Lillard, knowing what he's about in the clutch, his ability to take over games, shoot for 3. I mean, his stretch in the bubble where it was almost 50-point game after 50-point game was unlike anything I've ever seen. I don't think Embiid could do that. 50-point games, Embiid couldn't pour them in like Lillard was pouring them in. And Lillard's not a bad defensive point guard. I don't know if that
equates to does that equate directly to being good though? Just to start the year, would you have said that Zach LaVine was a better player than Julius Randle this season because he was having the 30-40-point games and Randle wasn't?
No,
what Embiid brings, playmaking, defense. Obviously, Lillard is a great passer himself. He, is a starting point guard in the NBA and quite adept at it. But I think what makes him special is the above the break 3-point shooting. It's what separates him, is his ability to just break a defense by pulling up from there. Embiid can do it all, and he can play well on the other end of the floor.
When he's on the floor, which is not often.
I'll say that, I usually bring this up earlier in Embiid debates, but this is my go-to point. I know it's lame, but it's the first season that we're watching right now that he seems to be taking the role of a number one player really seriously. So, we don't really know what can happen from here. I think it's only up.
If I may jump in here real quick, did you guys read that Yahoo article on Lillard yesterday?
Chris Haynes?
Yes, the Chris Haynes article. That Indeed. Struck me as like almost apologia for him trying to get out of Portland. And I don't know if it struck you guys the same way. I think Mark Berman had an article basically to this point where it seemed like they wrote it and it was, Damian Lillard has no help with the Blazers, which to an extent is true. Like, they don't defend. There's a lot of things they need to do well, and they don't. And they've had a lot of bad losses.
Well, Dame is one of the ones who doesn't defend, so I don't know how,
Right. But the hypothetical I saw was Lillard to the Knicks. That is very interesting to me. I would do that if I was the Knicks, and I could. But
so, obviously, if you can keep Barrett and Randall,
yes,
to add Lillard to those two would be the proposition, and that would have to intrigue you. If you are Leon Rose and company, you have to believe in yourself to think that you can get a contender around those 3 guys. I think it's that simple.
Yeah. So
Chris Haynes on the Portland beat for years. Just one last note. I think it's kind of interesting just to think about where that story might have come from. The guy who was friendly to Damian Lillard for years as a beat reporter is now reporting that Damian Lillard could use some help.